Hey, most businesses don't hit a wall because they fail. They hit a wall because they outgrow the way they were originally built. Today, we're going to talk about the growth phase that no one plans for. And honestly, few are talking about it until it starts to hurt. I want to help you along the way so that you don't have to go through the same hurt. Stick around for this episode.
This is the Franchise Pitfalls and Profit Show. Each week, we bring you the challenges and triumphs of being in the franchise development and consulting business. The things you need to make money faster. And now your host, one of the most successful franchise developers in North America, Don Shin.
Hey, welcome back to Franchise Pitfalls and Profits. This is a show about real mechanics of growth, real mechanics of scale, how to build the right way, how to avoid mistakes that quietly stall good businesses, and create strong systems. We talk regularly about creating strong architecturing, strong systems that can actually carry the growth or the scale that you're building. Most people think businesses stall. This is today's episode because something's gone wrong. Maybe sales start to dip a little bit, but they've been growing. Maybe the market has changed in some way. Maybe their team doesn't seem strong enough anymore for what's going on in the business. Sometimes all of these things are true, but more often, you know what it is? Businesses slow down because they succeeded past or beyond the design of their original structure. Nothing really broke. You just grew beyond what your systems, what your roles, and even your people and your leadership model were actually built to carry. And there's a phase, that's the phase we want to talk about. It's where this shows up that almost nobody talks about this. Again, that's why you come, the Franchise Pitfalls and Profits and me, because from the outside, everything looks fine. And we talk about the things that most people are not talking about. So in this scenario, revenue is real, customers are happy, the owner is respected, the business is pretty much working, but underneath it all, things feel heavier, much heavier than they should if you're the founder or the leader of such a company. Again, that's exactly what we're talking about today. So, hey, let's get going. This phase is the one that nobody names, and it's what I would say is a stage of business between startup chaos and true scalable infrastructure. And that's a wide range, I get it, but I still call this kind of the invisible middle. It's the place where you're no longer small. So a lot of the small startup chaos is gone. But you've not yet built for scale. You've not built for growth. And you're running on momentum, which is terrific and it's fun and it's exciting. But eventually, you've got to start running your business on structure. From the outside, you look really successful, and you are. But from the inside, you are really starting to get pressed. You're starting to get strained. You're starting to get stretched. And that is the heavy feeling that I keep referring to, and I'm going to continue to refer to in today's episode. This is where a lot of owners sit for more than months, sometimes a couple of years. Again, if this is you and if this is resonating, you're not doing anything wrong. All I'm saying is you're not recognizing, you're not realizing the rules of the game have changed, because you're now out of that startup mode and you're in this invisible middle. Again, nobody's teaching this stuff, but we're going to be jumping on it today. This phase doesn't announce itself loudly, but it shows up as tension. It shows up as friction. So let me share some of the signs that I've seen over my years of experience that are happening in this phase or this invisible middle space or timing. You might notice things like your team needs more clarity than you can personally really provide. So you're still approving a lot of things, but you just know, oh man, this is just too much. I shouldn't, at this stage of the business, I shouldn't have to be consulted and approving so many things. Um, Revenue grew, but the structure of your company, the architecture of your company sometimes just hasn't kept pace. It usually isn't keeping pace. And this is huge, especially if you are in franchising, if you're a brand that has turned into a franchise. This, boy, if you're in franchising, this is the one that gets most every brand. If you get nothing out of this episode, please hear this. This is the one of, if not the leading reason why brands rarely hit 50 units. So again, please be paying keen attention to what I'm talking about if you are in franchising if you've already started your franchise. All right, more signals. Everyone is busy, but not much seems to be improving. Things are getting done, but you could tell we're really not getting better at this. Um, your people, you can see not just you as the owner, as the founder, but you can see your people are tired. And they may actually be getting tired faster. Maybe at the end of a normal week before your real growth started, people kind of, hey, wow, I'm glad it's Friday, but now you're seeing they get tired faster. And there's a lot of reasons why this could be happening. Too much so for one episode here today, but you'll need to look at your current staffing. And not just to be hiring more people and throwing warm bodies at things. I'm talking about looking at the skill sets, looking at the backgrounds and the experience that your current people have. Are they the ones that are really going to be able to manage and lead the growth that you're experiencing and you hope to continue? Another one here, another signal, kind of small issues seem to take much longer to get through or to solve. So if you start feeling like, why does this feel so much harder at this stage than it should? Again, there's a heaviness. It's now going beyond just kind of tense and some friction. You're really starting to feel the weight of this growth. So I think here's the key question, because it's not a lack of effort. You, and I'm confident your current team is working harder. That's why they're part of the reason why they're more tired. What I believe the key question is that it's the weight of a business that is outgrowing its original design. A lot of times we start these companies, candidly, you may not even have really an original design, but you've done well. Again, as I said earlier, a couple of minutes ago, you're running this business on momentum. People are excited. You're having a good time. But now you really have to you need to start thinking about the design of your company. So here's what most owners do. Here's the mistake that they often make. And I'll even call it kind of a dangerous lie. They think, well, all we need to do, hey, we've got this momentum, we're going. I know people are working hard, but we just need to push harder. We need more hustle. We need more hours. People need to put more hours in. Maybe, I'm the owner and I was sort of laying back a little bit because things were going pretty well, but maybe I need to throw myself more into everything. Okay. I'm the one who can do all of these things the best. So maybe I need to throw myself in more. But pushing harder at this phase is not going to work. It's actually very dangerous. It increases the dependence on you if you are the owner or the leader. And that's not good in the long run. this pushing hard or trying harder will continue to hide weaknesses of the system. And honestly, sometimes your whole system might be weak. Like I said, a lot of times we don't think of a system and a structure. We get our business going and it's going well, and we've got momentum and we've hired some people and we just run. But now you're reaching levels where architecture and system and structure of the business, you need it. You need it, and you may not have much of it at all. We're also seeing teams burn out, leaders burn out. Some of the people you want in the long run who can handle this growth and can help you restructure the company, but you're pushing them so much harder than you ever did before, and they're just going to get burned out and they're going to leave. You're going to have higher turnover with some of the people that you actually want to keep. And just this continued effort to drive people, and for you as the owner even to work harder, this makes future scaling really, really riskier, because you're going to start to impact the impressions that you make in the marketplace, the loyalty and the goodwill you have in the marketplace by having it done right, having done it correctly in the long run. But now you're trying to continue to grow and build without a structure, and again, that's just going to be riskier. So it's true that hard work got you where you are today. And with most entrepreneurs, that's true. But hard work alone will trap you at certain levels of business. It'll almost be like a ceiling that you can't break through. And you really will start to wonder sometimes, why did I ever want to grow? I was kind of happy at some of the lower levels, wasn't making the kind of money I wanted to make in this business, but it was okay. You might even be thinking, because of all of this stress and the friction and the things that you're not doing differently, and the structure, architecture, and systems, you're not building it for this future growth. You might even be saying doubling down on the doubt. Why did I even get into this business? And you might even be thinking, boy, it's probably time for me to get out, because this is the point where effort needs to be replaced by design or redesign or a build of your business for the future. So this is, the fashionable word used to be pivot. This is the turning point. This is the pivot point. This is the stage of growth that is quietly asking you, as the founder, as the owner, to make a shift. You want to go from people power to systems and support. Again, you want to go from people power to systems and support. It's no longer about the heroic efforts of you as the entrepreneur and the founder and the risk taker. It's going to be about the structure that protects your business from these needed or from even needing heroics. It's where you're going to be able to rely on the system. And when I say systems, I don't mean computer systems and things, but I'm talking about a structure, architecture, the systems that operate a business so that people can come in and do their work, and it's not so dependent on you as the owner, and you can handle more volume because the structure of the company is now designed for that. This shift, this phase is going to demand clearer roles of the people, particularly if you have 1 to 3, 4, 5 key people. You need really clear roles. What's gotten you here before was everybody just pitched in. Oh, give it to so and so. I think they're free right now, and this person over here has a little bit of understanding of that, and so let's just put it over there. But in the future, for this future growth, you're going to need distinctly clear roles to be fulfilled. You're going to need clear ways of doing things, not just Bill knows all about those things. He's figured out how this works. Go talk to Bill about how to get this done. You need clear systems, processes, ways, things defined for how the business should handle certain things. You need leadership development. You've got to stop being an owner operator. You want to get out of all of the owner involvement things that you've been, at this phase, you've been starting to get dragged into. Candidly, and again, you're not going to want to hear this, and this might be a full-blown other episode, future episode, but you may really need to make some personnel changes, because the people who are in place today and got the business where it is today, they will not necessarily be the ones who can handle the growth, who have the skills and the experience to help you build what's got to be built and operate it. And then the next phase, the last thing that this phase demands of you is that standards. You've got to hold people and your operating systems to certain standards so that you can look away. So you don't have to, as the owner, be having your eagle eye on everything that's going on. If you want to grow to a place that it requires less of you, and you can continue to grow beyond your own limitations, you need standards. You need to set standards that everybody understands is what's expected. So early growth leans on and happens based on momentum and energy and excitement. Sustainable growth runs on clarity and architecture and structure. So that the tension that you start to feel in this phase, that's not that. I mean, in the phase you're in right now of this, well, what do I do? Why is it feel so heavy? That tension is not frustration. Don't feel that, I'm just frustrated. Again, work harder. That tension, this heaviness, should be a signal that something else needs to be done. It should be a signal that your business is telling you that the way you've been doing it just can't carry us to another level, to the next level that we see and we'd like to get to. So take this. If these words are sounding familiar to you, take this as a signal that you need to step off the accelerator just a little bit, step back just a little bit, and work toward what has to happen in order for you to get to that next level. So I want to warn you what happens and talk about what happens if you ignore this, if you don't recognize and act on this phase. A few things are going to happen. Growth is going to just slow. It's not going to be because demand isn't there, but it's going to be because the growth has just made things more complex. Your team tensions are going to increase. This thing is not going away if you keep driving and trying to push your business in its current stage to the next level. People aren't bad. I'm not saying any of your people are bad, but the tensions are going to increase because your expectations of them, honestly, are really unclear. Or again, in some cases, they're not the right people. Good people will leave you, not because they don't care, not because they didn't enjoy you and working for you, but because working inside this constant ambiguity and this constant stress, it's exhausting. You feel it's heavier, and that's also rolling down onto your people. Owners feel something that they rarely say out loud, and that is that I'm working harder than ever, and it feels like we're moving slower than ever. And that's not a motivation problem. And honestly, that's not an energy problem. That's not an effort and an attitude problem. That's a structure problem. So Please know this stage is not a failure. You're not a bad leader, bad owner. Again, I really want you to take it for what it is. It's actually a sign that you have built something that is worth carrying forward, but you can't carry it forward with the way you're structured today. It's just not going to go much further. This heaviness that you feel, it's not random stress, it's a signal. It's a signal simply that your business has outgrown the original design, if you even had a design. But at the end of the day, your business has outgrown the way you've done business to date. And when you recognize that, the question really changes from how do I push harder? How do I find more hours in the day for me to be involved? How do I drive these people to work more hours? And then it moves to what needs to be redesigned so that this company can grow without the strain. So, if things feel heavier than they should with your current sized business, if progress is feeling slower through even higher and more effort that you've been seeing and doing yourself, it may just mean that you have reached a wonderful growth phase, but one that nobody plans for. It's the one where success is demanding a redesign or a new design. Recognizing that as early as possible will keep your growth moving, but it will keep it moving with less pressure. It'll keep it moving and not just turn into heaviness and tension and loss of people. All right, so that's it for today. If this helped you see your business a little more clearly, then I have done my job with today's episodes. Thanks for being with me. That was my goal today, and I will see you next time.